The park. The park is, as the advertisement says, a first-person psychological thriller experience brought to you by the guys at Funcom, who also did Dreamfall and The Longest Journey back in the day. Since it only clocks about 2 to 3 hours of gameplay, this is not much of a game but rather a short interactive tale of a woman struggling with motherhood. The setting is what sets this game apart from the rest and what gives it its unique atmosphere. Lorraine, a troubled mother, lost her son named Callum, which by the way means dove in Gaelic, in an amusement park, and now she has to go back in there to find him. If things seem fairly normal and straightforward the first few couple of minutes, that rapidly goes away as you realize more and more that the park itself is not actually real but a fragment of Lorraine's mind. As you go up the escalator and into the amusement park, day becomes night, laughter becomes crying, and happiness slowly fades away, leaving the poor mother with a desolate, nightmarish setting to explore. The story unfolds as you progress through the park and go along the various rides it offers. Instead of childish joy, the player gets several haunting scares and a few more revelations about what's going on. Because things are a bit mixed together, there are clues about a murder on the loose scattered along the way, notes about accidents in the amusement park, your own problems with drugs and motherhood, and all that doesn't fit together perfectly. Lorraine's monologues also shed light on the story as she searches for her son. We find out why she's a single mother, what troubles she had with Callum, and what are her inner thoughts about motherhood and her only child. And boy, I gotta tell you, things go to a really dark place.
We met. I was sweeping the floor at Susie's diner. He came in with some workers, but he didn't try to flirt or cop a feel like the others. He just ordered a coffee and sat there, watching me.
The park scares are never that intense that they become intimidating, but rather more unnerving. The type of experience that gradually disarms you and strikes when you become weak. Compared with the really tense games like Alien Isolation or even action titles like Dead Space, the park is more of a laid-back experience. And the main reason for that is because there's nothing that can harm you in this game. You're just a passenger in a protected bubble because, as I was previously saying, nothing is actually real. It's more of an introspection journey rather than a physical search for your son. The graphics, made with Unreal 4 technology, are unfortunately uneven. Everything related with the setting, the nature, the rides, the park itself is excellently rendered and illustrated. The character models, on the other hand, are not. They all feel like expressionless wax toys that move and act strangely. It's sad to see such issues still present in the modern gaming era of 2016. Regardless, I do have to give credit to the attention to detail and atmosphere Funcom has placed in the creation of the park rides and the various settings. They are dark, unnerving, and clearly haunted fragments of Lorraine's broken mind, and that makes things so much better. The Witch's Lair is by far one of the best settings in the game, along with the big wheel ride and the bumping cars. Gameplay-wise, the park is pretty straightforward. Besides the movement controls, you have a button dedicated to shout for Callum while you're searching for him. This was probably implemented so that players don't get lost in the park while exploring, but in my experience, I never actually used it more than once or twice. You do get several interaction prompts from time to time, but you don't really do so much in this game. Also, whenever something bad is about to happen, the screen becomes all blurry and shaky, so you kinda know when to expect a jump scare. There are several dream sequences that question the reality you're in, which are pretty cool to look at, but as in the whole game, you get more the sense of a spectator rather than an actual player. Even though the game has an antagonism that I don't want to spoil, sort of, it seems that its creation was more of an afterthought rather than a conscious decision. And the abrupt, disturbing finale left me a bit shocked, in a bad way. For me, it seemed like a rushed, cheap decision to end things so early, especially when they were becoming more interesting. But I guess the budget had some tight constraints with this one. All in all, the park is an atmospheric experience full of beautifully rendered locations and an uneasy plot that's bound to take you to a dark place in your mind. It's not perfect by far, but it delivers on the experience aspect of it. I wouldn't fully recommend it if you're considering this or Layers of Fear, but you should play it if you're a moody atmospheric horror fan like I am.